Hey, okay, welcome back again, and this is the Lost Gold of World War II. They're talking about Yamashita's treasure. This is episode, and right now they're looking for a back door to the cave. And if you know anything about it, a lot of times the soldiers or the slaves were actually, the POWs were actually brought into the cave with the gold, and the front entrance was blown up. So there may be a back door if they believe that they blew up the front and they were able to come out through the back. So they're looking for a back. They're looking for a back door, be able to enter through a different way to see if they can find some gold. And they believe that rock was carved into the shape of a turtle. But if they found bullet casings and traps underneath it, it was actually there before 1900. So they're looking for stacked rocks and everything so they can actually move them out and everything. But the funny thing I noticed, I mean, you really got to look at this, was originally when they were looking at the turtle rock, there was like this big long board that came up. They stuck a board into the ground, and there was a tire that went around like this on top of it. And they walk away from it and said they're going to look around, find more. But if you look around, you notice they came right back to that that board with the tire on it. There was two of them, and so they actually walked off and they came back to the same rock. So this was actually planned. And so they say the turtle's the front door, and they're looking for a rock for the back door, and they think this rock where the tires are is the back door. And they believe it's a 50-ton rock that was just shoved right in there, and so they're going to have to pull it out. And it was collapsed. They're going to have to use explosives. They don't want to use explosives because the rocks are going to blow up or implode, and it's going to impede their search. But they mentioned it. I mean, they did say flat out, we don't have the maps. Robert Curtis had the maps. And so Robert Curtis is the key to here. And so they want to they need to find the maps from Robert Curtis and try to find out what map goes to what location and everything. And so they bring a ground penetrating radar expert in, and he kind of does the whole area, and he says there is a void under it. And so they're going to have to, he finds a void and they have to drill down. But what most people don't realize is the Philippines is part of the Ring of Fire. And basically through Southeast Asia, down the Pacific Rim, up into like Guam, Philippines, Hawaii, and maybe New Zealand, all the way up to Japan, is known as the Ring of Fire. And that's why you have a lot of volcanoes and a lot of volcanic activity, because you got the Marianas Trench. The whole Pacific is kind of coming in like this, and the Marianas Trench is the deepest part of the world. So about less than half an inch to an inch a year, possibly up to 2 inches a year, just moves closer. So my point is this, is if there's volcanic activity under, there could be a void. This is where a lot of jewelry, gemstones are located, in these voids, because the water can seep down. If the water can get in there, the minerals and everything crystallizes, and then it actually grows, and that's where the crystals grow up, in these voids. So they may be finding a void there. So they take a drill down. They were stopped because there was a super typhoon coming in, so they had to wait a few days, and they're worried that the water would come down and seep down into the void and everything, and it would make it harder. In Southeast Asia, in a lot of parts, the rain actually moves all the dirt away, so it's easier to find jewelry, gemstones in this area. And so now afterwards, they go look for markers on trees. They said that the Japanese put it on mango trees because mango trees live for a very long time. And Marcos, during his searching with the Lieber group, Robert Curtis and Benvel Morris, actually cut down a lot of the trees so people would not find them. And then they showed the picture of Imelda Marcos scratching the fake Buddha that was returned by Marcos to Roger Rojas. And that's the Buddha statue you see in the beginning with that Buddha statue. They find a marker. They believe it's a square marker saying there's treasure nearby. And he says it ain't no natural thing. Double negative. Sorry, it's a double negative. Mean it's natural. But he takes the marker. He takes his metal detector, and he's like searching all around. He doesn't find anything. So they decided they're going to go down and they're going to drill. But they come to a very hard substance which breaks the drill bit. And so it winds up they Never seen that quality before and how strong it is. And they believe it's bunker grade concrete. Now, I lived in Saipan, and Saipan has a lot of bunkers, and they're above ground. They're all by the airport, and they're about 3 feet thick. I'm talking 3 feet thick. They're still there. There's graffiti on them. There's I've been in one by the beach by Tinian, where the United States actually attacked Saipan. It's now a golf course. There are bunkers on the golf course. There are bunkers on both sides of the airport. You can actually go into these bunkers, and they're kind of creepy, and I can't imagine someone living in there for 3-4 years. So they believe it's bunker grade concrete, and so they said that Yamashita in 1940 went to Germany to meet Hitler. Well, that is kind of true, but the thing was, with Yamashita, right after World War I, there was a military coup in Japan, and Yamashita actually went against it. So all the military leaders that were supportive of it, that didn't say anything, Yamashita fell out of favor with, and Tojo was one of them. So he was not well liked with Tojo. Later on, Yamashita wanted to reduce the military in Japan so it wouldn't be as strong. And because of this, he fell out of favor with the Emperor of Japan. So he went to Germany for 6 months, met Hitler. But what happened was, when he came back, May, he actually went to Malaysia to be able to start planning the attack on Singapore. So he was in China, and then he was planning to leapfrog and go down there and take Malaysia and Singapore over. And that wound up being in 1942, I believe it was. He wound up doing that. So they sent the sample of core to Bingo to take to a core sample expert, a concrete expert in the United States. And he said it's not concrete, it's lava. Like I said, there's a lot of lava flows underground in the Philippines because of the Ring of Fire. And it may have had an air pocket. You could have geodes. You could have, if you have a geode, you probably got amethyst, you got quartz, citrine. These are all quartz minerals, and they do grow up in there. But you got to see what kind of gemstones actually grow in the Philippines, and that might actually work. So they want to keep digging, and he said that the Japanese were not picky. They would use anything and everything in their concrete, even seashells. So while they're digging a new hole, they come up with one seashell, and he goes, "It's proof! It's proof!" Well, you know, just because a seashell's down there, you find seashells in Utah, that doesn't mean a lot, except there was water there at one time. So it could have been there. So that's where they kind of left it off. But next week is really going to be a good week, because they're going to start talking to Robert Curtis. And Robert Curtis is the man who had all 175 maps reportedly in his possession, and he worked with Ferdinand Marcos. They showed a video of him talking on TV. Now, Robert Curtis, during the Golden Buddha trial, where Henry Rojas sued the Marcos administration and sued Ferdinand Marcos, his family, and everything for the stolen gold and the Buddha statue that was stolen, Robert Curtis actually testified on video. I believe it may have been in Hong Kong, or it may have been the United States. And the reason why they did this is because some people refused or could not get a visa to Hawaii to testify, one, and other people were afraid of their life. So they went and they had them testify on video at a remote location where they felt comfortable and felt safe. So this is where you're going to start seeing Robert Curtis come into effect, and you're going to find out a lot of stuff. They're going to talk about the CIA and Black Eagle Trust Fund. They might talk about Samana. So they're going to talk about a lot of conspiracy theories coming up right now, and it's going to get very interesting, and you're going to start to wonder, what is the truth, what is not the truth? And basically, you're going to be amazed. So that's going to do it right now, and I hope to see you next week. And We'll get into the conspiracies. Thank you.